back to That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.
So glad to have you with us. You know that I love to talk about things that make society better, make us more complete, more whole, more well, if you will. And you've heard a lot of discussion in the last few days about suicide prevention. We always kind of think about it this time of year. We also end up in the month of October talking a lot about cancer. There's a lot of things that need to have more exposure given to them. But the trend with suicide, especially amongst our military men and women and other first responder communities, has been troubling for a while. And even in New York City, the New York Police Department for a couple of years was dealing with this on kind of an epidemic level. Dr. Mark Siegel rejoins us. Dr. Siegel, what is it in your thinking as to why we are seeing the number of people considering taking their own lives that they are, and some, unfortunately, far too many of them being successful?
National Suicide Prevention Month, the month of September. Shocking statistics from the CDC in 2021, 1/3 of all teenage girls considered suicide, and 2/3 were experiencing periods of hopelessness or isolation or unhappiness. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy has put out an advisory on loneliness, which is very bold. I believe he's right about this. He's been studying this for years. He calls it a lack of connectivity. I think the pandemic played a huge role in this, but here specifically is what it is regarding the pandemic, that people were locked down, isolated in their homes, schools were closed, and they reached out to connect via social media, via their iPhones. And a lot of that is been engineered. Again, that's a little bit of an overstated word, engineered. It signifies virus manipulations these days. But there was an engineering going on of how to pollute our teens' brains. And TikTok is a prime example of that. I mean, my son was telling me, and he's pretty immune. He's got a good sense of humor. He's 18. He's doing really well. My youngest was saying to me, you know, Dad, they actually develop an algorithm for each person, and they figure out what videos to send them. Coming out of China, by the way, that's a scary thought. I mean, that's kind of what we worry about with AI, but I think AI can be managed in the healthcare world by doctors and by nurse practitioners. But this is scary, social media. And I think social media has played a very negative role here, that plus the isolation that I spoke about. And why social media has played a negative role? Because it sets up a perfectionism that you can't reach. Remember, you're looking at a screen. You can't be that beautiful person. You may be beautiful, but you may not have that perfection. It's a perfectionism. And if you aspire to perfectionism, and I'm concluding in one of my pieces this week that we doctors don't actually look at perfection. Kevin, we may look at it as a cosmetic plastic surgeon, perhaps, or a cosmetic dermatologist, but most of us physicians are looking at imperfection. It's called pathology.
Right.
You know, we start off perfect, but then our clock winds down. So we're used to celebrating imperfection as physicians, but that's not what social media does.
Well, and you're saying that effect has an outsized amount of weight on one's mind and one's mental health?
Yeah, and I would like to not separate in this discussion teenage girls from boys, because I as a physician, tend to view everyone the same. But I think that teenage girls are more susceptible to that perfect body image idea.
Yeah.
And they're more sensitive to bullying, and they're more sensitive to mockery. And I think it happens more commonly among girls. And that's why girls in this survey were more, in the CDC information, were more unhappy and were more prone to suicidal thinking. It's really dangerous.
You just mentioned,
because you're also impulsive at that age. That age.
You just mentioned you had a conversation with Governor Youngkin in Virginia, and he's doing some stuff along these lines. What is he doing, and why do you like it?
I love this, and I would encourage anybody to look up my interview with him online. We aired most of it on Fox and Friends last weekend, but what I really was encouraged about with him is that he starts with the idea of family. That's how he got elected. So it isn't just another superimposed government platitude program where they say, we're going to do this and this. He says, let's start with family. Let's support family and community, and let's strengthen those interventions.
Yeah. Doc, always appreciate your time. You're super busy, but you give us so generously, and I just appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
You're a great host, Kevin. Love being on with you. I'm sorry I missed toasting you on the boat next year.
Next year, you got it. Kevin McCullough coming right back. Don't go away.
Ready or not, he'll be right back. That Kevin.